Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm kicking off a new series that I'm calling Vital Design. Essentially, I just want to cover some basic design principles, and in this video, we're going to be looking at 3 web design tips. And hopefully, if you're a beginner or maybe you've been doing this for a few years, you'll be able to get something from this and apply it to your own workflow. That being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. Now you may notice the slides look awesome, and that's because I'm using a template I just found on the Figma community, and I didn't really feel like creating anything from scratch, and I thought it'd be a cool way to just use other people's work and give them credit. So I'll put a link down to this guy's portfolio. I believe it's Philippe, and he's got some cool stuff on there. So like I said, we're talking about 3 web design tips, and let's just go ahead and jump in to the first point. The first point I want to make is that you should not be designing until you know the who and the why. And I can't tell you how many times I've jumped into a project head on because I was just really excited to get to the design work, the fun part of it in my opinion, but it really never ended up panning out. And ultimately, even if it worked for me to just get a few ideas out there, it never really served the client's purpose or even the project's purpose. As creatives, you probably know that just staring at a blank canvas will literally get you nowhere. So you have to have certain boundaries in place in order to properly execute the project. And so specifically when we talk about the who, what I'm talking about is understanding who is going to be using your designs. Now, if you're working as a graphic designer and you're just making social media posts and making some really cool graphics, you might think, well, I don't really have a user, but you absolutely have a user. Just because they're not clicking on any buttons, they're still interacting with the design. They're looking at information. You've got to captivate their attention, hold them there, and generally your graphic design would probably serve a greater purpose to go to the website or sign up or whatever the case may be. So every design has some sort of interaction, and every design is going to have a different target audience. So knowing that target audience up front is going to save you a lot of time. If you're designing an app for 65-year-olds and up, it's going to be very different than if you're designing something for college students. So you just need to know who you're designing it for so that you can organically work backwards. Now, the what is identifying the end goal. So whether you're trying to generate leads or make a sale or simply just host a bunch of information, there should be some sort of end goal in mind. And that last one with hosting information, I have a bit of a problem with, because I feel that every website should serve a greater purpose than just to host good web design. You know, you're putting something up there ultimately probably to generate money in some way or another, whether it's directly through making a sale or indirectly through, getting someone to the next process of scheduling an appointment with you or whatever your context is. It needs to have a greater purpose, because ultimately your website is the only 24/7, 365 salesman that will always continue to sell for you. And so simply just throwing up some cool design with information and no prompt for the user is actually just a waste in my opinion. And so identifying that goal will help you to partner with the who. So you say, I need to make a sale, but I'm trying to make a sale to a 65-year-old. And so you work backwards with maybe very minimalistic design, very intuitive process for how you go about structuring the page. Number 2 is to follow a proven structure. Obviously, there's tons of different ways to go about building a website, and I'm not here to tell you which one is the right way or the wrong way, or how specifically to go about organizing your pages, but it's important that you do include certain elements. And so I'm not going to necessarily show you specific examples, but I just pulled out a few points that I think could help. I think firstly, you need to make sure that you're showing them all the information they have to know in order to stay. Nothing more and nothing less. So when the user lands, everything above the fold, and if you don't know what that means, it's just everything before the user has to scroll that they see when they land on the website. That needs to give them all the information in order to entice them, to give yourself a little bit of credibility, and to prompt them to continue scrolling down. This is why your homepage is so incredibly important, and why the hero or the banner header part of your homepage is even more important, because it's really setting up the whole website for the user. And I think one of the key ways you do this is to make a bold statement and then back yourself up. So making that bold statement is usually just your main tagline. Why do you do what you do? Who are you doing it for? You want to answer some of those key questions in that tagline, and you want to make it really bold. You don't want to just throw something corporate up there that you're playing it safe. Maybe you have to dial it back a bit just to come across a little more professional. But it's really important to set yourself apart. Make it really unique. And I cannot write copy to save my life. I have worked with a ton of great copywriters who know how to do that, but it's really important to dial that in first, because this is kind of setting up the main website, and then everything beneath it is going to back that statement up. Again, in this section, you want to make sure that you're providing the who, the what, maybe the where if you're serving in a specific area or providing services in a specific area. Generally, this includes a logo, and generally having some sort of image will help explain some of what you do. And specifically, having an image of a human in it is really helpful too. People will connect with that way more because it's a face. They feel like it's a bit more interactive. Now, that might sound like it's a lot to include, but there's tons of different ways to go about doing that, and it's obviously up to you and how you implement the design. But it's really key that you don't go beyond that point and add anything else that is unnecessary to the user. Just give them what they need to capture their interest and keep them scrolling. Now, there's a few other things that I didn't include here, like building your credibility, and all of that is going to be, like I said, supporting that main statement at the top. It's like your thesis for the page, so including reviews, including a USP, your unique selling proposition. Whatever you decide to put in there is going to be really important for telling that story for that thesis. And so once you get through the end of that, I would definitely recommend including some sort of call to action. Now, a lot of people think that this has to be where they put their big price at the end. You don't have to be telling people to go give you thousands of dollars after 45 seconds on your website. The next step could be as simple as scheduling a call or simply just sending them an email, whatever you want to do. It can be something that you give away for free, maybe a free download or some sort of resource, but give them some sort of call to action. Otherwise, their entire experience and time on the website was a waste. And so you want to give them some sort of reward and give them a clear next step for how they can continue working with you. And my last point is more of a general piece of advice that you've probably heard over and over again, but it's just to iterate and repeat and continue doing the work. Honestly, you're never going to grow until you give yourself enough opportunities to do so. This is something that I struggle with for years because I always kind of subconsciously agreed with people whenever they said to just hustle and do the work and continue to improve. But genuinely, you're not going to actually see any upgrade in your work until you've just done it enough times. So setting aside some time every day or at least every week just to focus on improving, you need to stay in it and stay with it, but approaching it with a framework on how you can improve is also really important. So maybe you have specific areas that you struggle with, everything above the fold, or how to provide a clear call to action, whatever the case may be. Go in and iterate on past designs, see how you can improve. But if you don't have those other projects to go in and analyze, then it's going to be very difficult to improve. So just continue to go out there and actually do the work. It is really important to stay inspired, so whatever website you like to get inspiration from, spend time on there, but do not spend too much time because it'll very quickly drop from being inspired to becoming jealous and generally being unmotivated to do the work. But anyway, those are just a couple tips to hopefully improve your web design. Let me know if this was helpful and let me know what tips you've learned over the years and drop a comment down below. Let's keep a conversation going. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.